One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Extraordinary People. I am Patricia, and we have an extraordinary guest today. I'm going to introduce her. She is a published poet, a public speaker, political scientist, public policy and diplomacy apprentice, and simply passionate to life and giving back to it. Vaguely describes my guest today. She calls herself a workaholic. Understandable. She is still 19 years old, and the list of accomplishments is already long. It's also dedication, drive, determination, and soul. Her ambition is wide and long, and she is on the right path. Like a busy bee pollinating one flower at a time, there is a sense of bloom wherever she passes through. She is constantly abuzz, handling so many projects all at once. You need the energy and the motivation of a 19-year-old to accomplish it all. And she is excelling and catching the eyes and ears of those with influence. The beautiful part is that her strive for success is double-fold. First of all, working and preparing for her future. And second, building awareness and working for the future of her home country. They hold equal parts in her heart. I don't have the words to truly describe this wonderful young lady. You will discover so much more about her along with me today. Let us meet and learn more about my extraordinary guest. Welcome, Tiffany Saade.
Thank you so much, Patricia. It's an honor to be here with you today.
It's an honor to have you here right at the beginning of your journey, and I hope one day we're going to look back and have another episode and see what you have accomplished until then.
Thank you so much.
So I'm having a little bit of trouble to see how to start because you've already done so many things. And like I said, right now you're a student at Stanford University, political science. You're doing a minor in
International relations.
International relations.
Yeah.
How did you get to Stanford?
So I may describe my journey as rocky, but definitely filled with resilience, hope, and especially hard work. My passion for political science started with the October 2019 revolution in Lebanon.
Oh, it started at that time,
Yes.
Not before.
Not before.
Oh, okay.
Before that, I was passionate about medicine, about cardiology, but then I realized that my calling was to help my country and to devote my life to understand the problems and the roots of corruption and nepotism and sectarianism that have plagued our country for 30 years.
So it's kind of a mixed blessing.
Yes, and you know, it's seeing people together holding the Lebanese flag, fighting for this Lebanese dream, for this country that we want to build all together. This really ignited a flame in me, and I was like, this is what I want to do. This is my passion. And I had a gut feeling that, you know, it's politics for me, and this is going to be the title of my journey. And this was reaffirmed again when the Beirut blast happened. I was, in Beirut and seeing this destruction and this demolition and how really...
You actually experienced it.
Yes.
You were right in the middle.
Yes, I was. And thank God I was left unscathed physically, but it has changed my life. Life after August 4th has never been the same for everyone.
It's a before and after moment for so many people.
Yes, and since then I was very fortunate enough to be given the chance to write chapter 2 of my life. And a month after the Beirut blast, I packed 4 bags and left alone at 17 years old to Stanford University.
Oh, you were 17?
Yeah.
Wow, so you graduated a little bit early from high school.
Kind of, yeah, I was a bit young.
Okay.
And my parents couldn't come with me to Stanford because of COVID and, the blast. I couldn't have a visa, so I had to, like we say in French, prendre le courage à deux mains and just go to Stanford alone. I was the only Lebanese who was accepted this year. And we're only 3 undergrads, Lebanese undergrads at Stanford.
Not just in political science.
In the whole university of
right.
undergraduates.
Right.
This title of chapter 2 is The Path to Justice and Accountability for Lebanon. And political science and international relations are not just majors for me. They're not just, areas of interest. it's my life. It's the life of my people, and it's the future of my country. And I'm investing everything I can by working crazy hours and by learning and, in immersing myself in this world of international politics to just understand how can we rebuild.
Crazy hours is an understatement, I should say. I really don't know how you do it. Everybody's going to learn more about it little by little. But ever since your first year at Stanford, you started public speaking.
Yes.
You started building awareness about what's happening to the plight of the country. And people are listening. Like when was it that you did a speech in front of thousands of people? Was it the first year or the second year?
So at the end of my first year was when I started public speaking.
Okay.
The second speech you're talking about came later, but in May of 2021, I spoke for the first time about the Beirut blast since it happened. I didn't really have the courage or the words to write about it, but I was given a platform in front of approximately 100 people to speak about it. It was my start as public speaking, and it really, people in Lebanon really liked it and really wanted to listen, and I was really happy because people in the US knew for the first time what's the Beirut blast, where is Lebanon.
I'm wondering, of course we're going to be happy with it, but we want to know what other people's, how it affected them also. So they did listen and it did affect them also.
Yeah, it really did, and they really understood that Lebanon has been going through a lot, and a lot of people were really eager to learn more about the country, to learn more about the history of Lebanon, to learn more about what's happening. And the question I received a lot was, how can we help? How can we donate? Who should we support in Lebanon? What's happening in your country? How can we support your people?
That's amazing.
And this is very uplifting, and it's very enlightening, because this is the goal at the end of the day. In September 2021, I participated in a program called Faces at Stanford and spoke in the Frost Amphitheater, which is one of the biggest stages at Stanford, in front of almost 5,000 people. It's the new class of 2025.
Okay.
And I shared my story.
So this is when you're a sophomore?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's last September.
Right.
And I shared my story concerning Lebanon and concerning the really alarming humanitarian and economic crisis that was plaguing Lebanon and still is. And, no one saw that, but behind the scenes I was shedding tears because I was carrying this Lebanese flag on my back, but it was just, it's such an honor to represent your country in one of, the best universities in the world, and to be able to speak up about it and to be able to just, it's a cry for help, for people to realize that Lebanon is going through not only really rough times. People are not represented. People are dying. People are not finding medication, are not finding basic necessities.
Food.
And we should speak up about it.
Yeah. Well, I definitely hope the right ears are appreciating you in the Lebanon for everything that you're saying, because it's an honor for us, and we're very lucky to have you to represent us over there. Who actually listens? Do you have the professors or just the students? Does everybody listen when you talk?
So I'm very grateful to have an amazing team of professors at Stanford that are really supporting me professionally, even personally. They're really pushing for me to go step by step and to understand how, to unfold the Lebanese crisis, how to understand the Middle East region. They're not only at Stanford, they're also in Washington, D.C. I've built a family in Washington.
Yeah, we're going to go into more details about that, right?
And it's professors from, Professor Larry Diamond, Professor Abbas Milani, Professor Frank Fukuyama, etc. Not only brilliant professors, but they are role models I look up to, and many other professors in the university that really support me and support my endeavors for Lebanon. And students really are eager, like I said, to learn more about the country and how we can help. And I think, if we Lebanese people abroad did not talk about Lebanon, did not uplift the voices of our Lebanese brothers and sisters that are still surviving in Lebanon and still suffocated by the sectarian grip here, then who would? It's our role. The media doesn't do a great job of speaking up about the issues in Lebanon. And if
Which media are you talking about?
Western media.
Okay.
And if it does, it's, it's in a politically biased way.
Yeah, I was going to say. Right.
We need to give the truth as it is for people to know what's happening.
I can feel like you're inspiring all of those new students also to make the world a better place when you talk. Do you think that?
I think that there are so many Lebanese people, American citizens, even international students at Stanford.
Yeah, exactly.
They are doing such a great job in advocacy, in political activism, in raising awareness, not only about political issues, but also, human rights issues all around the world and in the US and in Lebanon. And, what uplifts me as a Lebanese woman is seeing all the other Lebanese women.
Welcome to Lebanon. Okay. We'll just continue. It's okay.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
Seeing all Lebanese women and, leading change in Lebanon, pushing through the glass ceiling, breaking the bias. And this is also empowering to me. My mentor, like Karma Ikmekji, she's a brilliant Diplo woman.
Yeah.
I really look up to her. So people like her really make me proud to be Lebanese and give me hope that we can change, hand in hand, we can take the first step and we can break the glass ceiling.
You are also making us proud to be Lebanese.
Thank you.
Definitely. So let's go into a little bit your academic career, if you want. So right now, again, I don't know what's happening, but anyways, so you are a research assistant, is that right, to Francis Fukuyama, who is obviously, we don't have to mention or give details about him, he's very well known. So what is it like working with him? Are you concentrating on the Middle East in your work with him?
So yes, this is like kind of during the year, I'm part-time, working for Professor Fukuyama. I've been since August of 2021. And it's an on-off work, kind of, when he's working on a certain project, we work together. We started working on his project on administrative law, kind of bureaucratic autonomy post-COVID. It's kind of an international governance type of work. We're not really focused on the Middle East, but focused on the dynamics of governance in the world.
How they all interrelate, kind of thing?
Yeah, and he's kind of looking at administrative law and bureaucratic autonomy, especially how governance has changed after COVID.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything has changed after COVID.
Sadly.
And did he choose students from different nationalities?
No.
Not necessarily.
No. He had other research assistants working on the projects as well. And lately, like 1 or 2 months ago, we were working on carbon capture and climate policy and kind of the debate around climate policy, which is very important as well.
Right.
And is part of, the pillars of our future.
Right.
Alarming pillars of our future.
Right.
Yeah. Professor Fukuyama is, it's an honor to know him.
Definitely.
It's an honor to listen to him, to learn from him. And, there's this dream team at Stanford that I wouldn't have in any other place in the world, I think, because they don't treat you like a number. They treat you like a student with a voice, with an ambition that matters to them. And, they invest in you and you feel honored when they do.
Your colleagues at Stanford, you told me you have very stimulating discussions about the future and political science, about cybersecurity and AI and everything. I can just imagine how much you guys travel everywhere when you guys get together.
Yeah, it's really inspiring. I'm surrounded by geniuses at Stanford. It's humbling to be just having discussions and debate with brilliant students, getting to know their backgrounds, just, respecting all the work they've done, their experiences.
Oh, that's such a nice word, respect.
Yeah, because it's an honor for me to be sitting with each and every one of them, listening to their opinions, learning from them. Yes, we talk about everything. We have our nerdy conversations. We talk about cybersecurity. We talk about policy, about tech, about the world, and we learn from each other, I learn more about tech. They learn more about politics in the Middle East from me, and it's just an exchange that's never ending, and we love that. Yeah. And this is why you're at a place like Stanford. You're at a place where students are all intellectually stimulating and they're all eager to learn and they're passionate, and they break barriers to get where they want to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's truly inspiring.
I would have loved to be a fly on the wall to listen to all this. You were also an intern. I don't know, are you still an intern for David Hale?
So
this was just a small, brief time?
So I was chosen to go to Stanford in Washington. Mm-hmm. It's a program with Stanford, and they choose a cohort. This year it was 11 students.
Oh, okay.
And I was the only international student in this cohort.
Wow.
My amazing friends worked on Capitol Hill. They worked in Congress, in the House.
Wow.
They were doing brilliant things in the World Bank.
Okay.
But I applied to work at the Wilson Center at the U.S. Institute for Peace, and I was paired up with Ambassador David Hale, which is a dream come true for me.
Definitely, yeah.
And what can I say? Ambassador Hale is brilliant in not only in his experience as a diplomat and as a political figure, but as a person.
Do you speak Arabic with him? Because I learned that he speaks Arabic.
I mean, just a few words, but we mostly talk in English. And I have learned a ton from Ambassador Hale. Right. And I'm so fortunate to be pursuing this mentorship relation we have, him and I, in the summer as well. I'm going to be returning to DC.
Oh, wonderful. So you're going back to work with him?
Yes, on part-time with him.
Well,
because I have another opportunity as well this summer.
Right.
But in parallel with my work with Ambassador Hale on Lebanon.
He's writing a book.
Yes, right? On Lebanon, yes.
Right, exactly, okay.
And in parallel of my work with him, I was working with Robin Wright. She's a very well-known Middle East kind of focused journalist. We're working on two of her platforms, which is the Iran Primer and the Islamists. And we were working on kind of peace building in the Middle East. That's the big umbrella. And it's kind of understanding radical Islam and terrorist movements and jihadism in the Middle East. And I got to really be immersed in 15 countries in the Middle East deeply in their politics, which was very intense, but it's the more,
these are very heavy subjects for a 19-year-old. And I was thinking to myself ahead, I have to keep repeating, this is like a disclaimer, she's only 19. She's only 19. But these are very heavy subjects for a 19-year-old. So how do you feel when you attack all of these subjects?
I feel that I never thought that age is a barrier for me. And it could be a lot, but I think that when you have passion and when you want something and when you want to understand, there's nothing is going to stop me from doing what I want to do.
Right.
I'm not going to lie. It's really hard, emotionally hard to be undertaking all of this. I used to wake up, so I went to DC in March and I came back here in June, and I used to wake up at 4 a.m. every day, not being able to sleep, reading, World Bank reports on Lebanon, kind of doing my work. 4
Is it because your mind was so busy, or is it just like you felt you had a duty to do all of this, to accomplish your work?
It's passion that kept me awake.
Right. Okay.
Passion that kept me awake, but ironically, it kept me dreaming as well, So I used to wake up at 4 a.m., just do my work. I had,
You exercised before?
Oh, of course.
We have to talk about that. We're both into fitness, so this gives a bit of energy to start the day.
Fashion and fitness is
Fashion
always...
too. Right.
So, I had to, I had my work with Ambassador Hale and my work with the USIP. And I also took a full load of classes, and I had evening classes.
Oh my God.
It's from 7 p.m. to like 10.
She's only 19. How do you balance all of this? Because that's a lot on your plate.
My mom, when I was a child, she really sacrificed her whole life, my mom and my dad, to really, be there for me, teach me how time management, which I think is crucial today.
Yes, I think it should be a course given for everybody.
I was 3 years old, Patricia, and my mom and I used to sit down while, other kids maybe had play dates in the afternoon. I used to sit down for 3-4 hours and study and, go the extra mile.
Is it because your parents forced you, or is it because you wanted to do that? Okay.
It's because they saw something
your potential,
in me.
Right.
They saw that I was eager to do it. My mom and my dad never made me something I did not want to do. Everyone used to tell my dad, oh, she should go to medicine. She's so smart. She should do medicine. And my dad always said the same thing. I'm not going to let my daughter do something she's not passionate about.
Wow.
I want her to go after her dreams.
Right.
And I'll tell you more about my dream, in political science.
Yeah, please do.
But yeah, I used to sit down with my mom on this wooden table, this plastic red chair.
Yeah.
And she used to have these math small books, and I used to train with her.
Wow.
We used to read stories in Arabic together. She used to close the book and she was like, give me the summary in Nahawi. Yeah.
Oh, wow. This is at like what, 3-4 years old?
I was in moyenne section, grande section, and I used to write, the days of the week, the numbers, and it didn't matter because I wanted to do that. She used to write these math problems for me. My mom was never left my side, and she kind of cultivated in me this passion to learn, this kind of nerdy aspect that defines my personality and which I love, and she was there with me in all the activities I did. I used to do 12 activities. She used to sit on
management. She's only 19.
Thanks, Mom.
Right.
She used to sit on the wooden floor of the gymnastics room, and when I couldn't do a certain movement, I used to go to her pouting and be like, "Mom, I can't do it." And she held me like this. She's like, "You can do it. Go. I'm looking at you. I'm here."
Wow.
And I think you build resilience. From this age on, she changed my life. She made me who I am today.
She made you see the brightness that you have, the potential you have inside of you, and that you can develop it.
Yeah, they're my best friends, and they molded me into the woman I am today. And I will, my goal and my dream is to live every day and to know that they are smiling and that they are proud of me.
You're also very giving, like your mom and your dad, because your mom started an initiative. She helps people. Yeah. She feeds people, actually. And all on her own. Is that right? So you're taking after them in that sense also, because you want to give back a lot to the community and to your country at the same time.
Yes, I'm supporting my mom a lot in her initiative. It's been her dream, and I think I hold the same passion in my heart to stand with my people, to sit with them, to share with them, to have a conversation with them, to support them. And I think, I'm playing my part by not only educating myself and kind of sharing with others what I learned and sharing with people who don't really know much about Lebanon. But this year, actually, a few weeks ago, I decided I need to start something of my own for this country. Yes. I need to make change.
Yeah.
And
did you want to talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
So,
because this is really nice. I love this.
It's still very fresh, but, I look at my journey and I'm like, I graduated from IC and I'm at Stanford and I have all these opportunities. And I'm so grateful for them. But I want every student in Lebanon to have these opportunities of alternative education, of innovation, to kind of have, regardless of their socioeconomic background. So I started this education initiative called Opportunity. And Opportunity is just, building leaders of tomorrow, regardless of the crisis that's happening in Lebanon. Having the long-term vision is having a small center for students twice a year to come and have classes on cybersecurity, technology.
I didn't know it was like this, like on the long-term initiative. Okay, that's so interesting.
Yeah, right. It's to kind of have them learn skill sets and classes that they did not have the chance to learn in public schools or in their private schools,
Right.
And we're launching our first summer initiative in August, second week of August. And I'm offering 5 classes, a class on entrepreneurship in navigating the Lebanese crisis, a class on art and sustainability and redefining our Lebanese identity, a class on advocacy and storytelling, a class on coding, programming, and robotics.
Wow.
And finally, a class on medical emergency and first aid, all led by program kind of project leaders or program leaders, Lebanese graduates from Lebanese universities.
Right. So it's not just political leaders, it's leaders in all the fields.
Oh, it's not
fields.
It's not politicized at all.
Right.
We're focusing on education because, you will ask me why education? Well, I think the health crisis, the economic and kind of the basic necessity lack in Lebanon and the education crisis are a chain that work together.
It's a pillar.
Yes. I know amazing people like Marina, for example, working on the health side of things. And my mom and
Marina, who founded Med Donations,
yes.
right? Yeah.
And a lot of other people, working on the basic necessity parts in Lebanon. But, when it comes to education, you need a certain level of education to fight vulnerability, to fight this easy way of brainwashing.
It's a
people.
Long-term solution.
Yes, and it's also for people to be financially independent, to be able to rely on their knowledge, but most importantly, it's to change this transgenerational narrative in families, to redefine Lebanon, and hopefully to have people working hand in hand towards the same definition of Lebanon, the same definition of a Lebanese identity.
This actually could apply to every country. It's like a mindset to work in a community, work all together.
Yes, it's nation building.
Yeah, exactly.
And education is the basis for that. And, the goal of opportunity is not only to have students in a classroom and, they learn and they leave. In August, our 1-week initiative, students will be working on a final project in every track they choose. They're choosing 2 tracks.
Wonderful. Oh, okay.
And this final project will have continuity. We aim to, present these students to mentors, have their projects exposed to the world.
Wow.
Yes, we want to empower young students, and my age range now is from age 14 to age 18. We want to show them you matter, your voice matters, you are talented, you can do it.
You can have an impact on society. But that's so well thought out. Who thought about all this?
I did.
Wow.
Yes, and I have an amazing team of, young Lebanese passionate men and women that are supporting it. Marina has played a really big role in encouraging me and supporting me in this project, and I'm so grateful for this team of incredible young Lebanese students that make me believe that we can rebuild Lebanon.
There is so many amazing people in our community.
I know.
And we just need to shed a light a little bit so that...
And that's what you're doing, Patricia.
Well, I hope so. But we really need to do that to show that everybody can have a voice. Everybody can have a role in the community to build a better one, to build a better
everyone
nation.
should.
Yeah, everybody should. In their own way. It doesn't have to be like huge and building schools and stuff, but everybody has their own little role and responsibility.
No, definitely. And, my dream one day is to see Lebanese expats coming back home, because there's no place like home.
Yeah,
you leave Lebanon, but Lebanon never leaves you.
Yeah, and there's something touching about this country. Everybody, even like foreigners who come, they always have a certain attachment to it.
Patricia, in Lebanon, for me at least, it gave me everything. It molded my identity. It gave me a language, family, memories, wounds, trauma, heartbreak, everything. But when a country and a motherland gives you everything, I can't sit 11,000 kilometers away and not try to give it all I got. And I'm giving it all I got.
That's so admirable of you.
It's just being a citizen.
That's very humbling of you also.
Just being a citizen.
I want to just pause for a minute on your internships with David Hale, Robin Wright, and Francis Fukuyama.
Yeah.
And I just want to go through the angle of how it affected you, because they each have different backgrounds. So David Hale, obviously a diplomatic background, Robin Wright, journalistic, and Francis Fukuyama as an academic, a researcher, an intellectual. Do you see that they have a different perspective because of their different backgrounds? I mean, David Hale obviously was talking with people that are like leaders or governmental people in the country. Robin Wright was more on the ground. Francis Fukuyama was a little bit more further distant physically. So how do they perceive things around in the area, and what do you interpret from it?
Yeah, so I think working with people from, different categories, kind of, like you said, David Hale, diplomatic, kind of in the political world.
Yeah, exactly, right.
I've learned so many different aspects and perspectives. They offered me different perspectives that I've patched all together to form my own perspective.
Okay.
So I learned different skill sets from each. With Robin Wright, I focus more on the analytical skill set, on understanding, on deducing, on, kind of knowing, where to look for information.
Oh, to dig a little bit.
Yes, and how to be the least politically biased possible, how to understand a region, how to understand the politics behind it, how, to look at kind of terrorist movements, very recent news, and kind of build on that,
What makes these terrorist movements?
Yes.
Okay.
And, Robin Wright and her team is brilliant. They're doing brilliant work.
She's an author. Sorry, I'm just...
Yes.
Just because some people might not know, she's an author of multiple books. She also won awards for journalistic...
The UN Excellence Award. She's brilliant.
Yeah.
And she was actually on the ground. She's one of the only American reporters that was on the ground during the Lebanese Civil War. She reported on that
I didn't
for the
know
New Yorker.
That. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And she's amazing.
She must have seen quite a few things.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And on the other hand, working with people like Professor Fukuyama, Professor Abbas Milani. Abbas Milani has, he's also very knowledgeable in the region of the Middle East, working with Professor Diamond and different other people who are, like Fukuyama, brilliant. It has taught me how, to look at things in a scholar way, to kind of have this perspective, to kind of have qualitative and quantitative mix of information together, and just learning from their life experience, from their knowledge. You sit with them and you listen to them and you're like, how does everything fit in your brain? You're like, wow.
Isn't that amazing? I just wonder sometimes.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I think that's going to be me like in 20 years when I look at you.
No, I don't think so.
I think so.
Just a parenthesis, in May, I came back to Stanford to write, to speak about the Lebanese parliamentary elections in the personal politics program at Stanford. It's like a new initiative they're starting.
Okay.
And the speech was amazing, and then I also was there to receive the Political Science Award for excellence. It's
congratulations.
It's a Russell Berman Award for excellence, and it's me and my co-writer who received it. We wrote a big paper together in one of the classes, and even if Abbas Milani was not my professor at the time for the class, he came in attendance because I didn't have any family there. He came.
Oh, he came as a father figure.
He came and he made me cry.
Yeah, definitely. That's very touching.
And he told me, he wrote to me in Persian, and he told me, "You're the light."
Originally, he's Iranian.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He told me, "You are the light of my eyes." And
wow.
For a professor like this to tell you,
definitely,
and to believe in you, it's just it
just encourages you and pushes you to do more.
It's amazing. And
you are also learning Farsi, by the way.
Yes.
She's only 19. I have to keep saying this to myself. There are so many different institutions, organizations, etc., working for peace in the Middle East, but it's not coming. What's the problem? What do you see as the main challenge for it to work?
That's a
tough
question.
Yeah,
I mean, in my very humble opinion.
Yeah, of course, because you see from everywhere, these are just little institutions, but there's so many. It's not just them, but there's so many people that are trying to work at this.
I think they are trying to understand why there is no peace in the Middle East, but I think, think tanks can't impose tangible solutions.
Right.
The problem, I think, the big problem in the Middle East is that there's very deeply rooted injustice and lack of accountability and a distorted communication.
I was going to ask, do you think mediation is a good tool or it's not enough?
You see, I think we just don't speak the same language. We speak the language of our own interest or of kind of intervention and greed and power struggle in the Middle East. This is speaking very generally, of course. Yeah. And I think people have been too marginalized in so many communities out of injustice. And I think, there should be accountability that is not coming in the Middle East. I see the Middle East as a fractured puzzle that is not going to be solved anytime soon. my dream is an idealistic dream, is to have this puzzle fit into a clear picture of unity. But I think if every country is, going to put as a priority their own interests instead of cooperating together to find common interests, to kind of thrive as one Middle East, not as the Middle East in the vision of X and Y and Z countries, then I think we could be very strong in the world arena.
Do you think the people have power to change?
I mean, in autocratic regimes and in dictatorships, no.
Okay.
People are suppressed. Freedom of speech is not there. Human rights. It's just, there's no real democracy in certain countries where you really need downward and upward transparency with governments and people, where you need governments need to understand how to represent their people instead of representing their interests, their financial, their political, their strategic interests. Instead of having their under the tables deals with other countries and, kind of having this democratic facade for the people.
Right. It's funny because they can actually go down in history as heroes instead of going down in history as non-heroes.
And I mean, they care about their image at the end of the day, even if thousands and millions of people are dying every day from famine, from war, from terrorism. It's just really sad to see all of that. But when you are Arab and when you're an Arab woman, you also empathize with kind of the lack of equality there is in certain societies,
Definitely,
between men and women. So, my dream is to see an Arab world that kind of understands the needs of their people and strives to work all together.
Well, on the fact that you're saying about women, because I have 3 sons, and I mention to them all the time, I said, the societies that thrive the most are the ones where everybody is equal, where it's not a patriarchal society, where women have as much rights as men. So I just thought I'd mention that on the side a little bit.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. But I think it's going to take time. Like I said, transgenerational narratives. It's kind of a stereotype and prejudice of how you see women acting as kind of, their role in society.
Have an active role in society.
Yeah.
Right.
And, I think women in politics should be very normalized. We should have more women in politics, especially in Lebanon. I'm so proud to see more women in the parliament, and this is the start of something new, and this is what we need, and this is what's right, and this is what should happen.
What is your ultimate ambition? Like, what is your role? Like, what do you see yourself as a diplomat, as a researcher, as an activist? How do you see yourself?
I definitely don't see myself as a researcher.
Okay. I see you as hands-on.
I've always valued being able to make direct impact, being on the ground,
You have a strong voice.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I mean like a voice as in you want people to hear what you have to say.
And I want people to hear what I have to say, not because it's me, just because it's
for the good cause.
Everyone is talking about the same thing, and we need everyone to listen to all of us together.
Right.
For me, it will always be about the team, not about myself. So my dream is to be able to make impact in the Middle East, to be able to make impact in Lebanon, to participate to the wave of change that I feel will be coming and is starting in Lebanon.
It is starting, yeah.
Bits by bits, it takes time. And it doesn't matter what position I have or what title I have. What matters is the end goal, is the journey with uniting with my people and with people in the Middle East to be able to, change.
Okay, so what would you say to people, because you're 19, she's only 19, what would you say to people, oh, she's only 19, she doesn't know what the real world is like. She doesn't know she's going to get to these challenges and just give up later. What would you say to people who say this kind of thing? Because this is kind of like a rhetoric and stereotypical, response.
I would say to these people that there's no age for going after what you want. There's no age for representing really the needs of your people, for standing with your people. And there's no age for curiosity, for knowledge, for ambition. So whatever it takes, every time there's an obstacle in my way, I break it and I move. So for me, you know, change in Lebanon, change in the Middle East, empowering my people, that doesn't have a 19-year-old etiquette to it, nor a 50-year-old etiquette to it. It has passion very much tied to it.
Well, as a person who's not 19 years old, but I see you're doing this in a smart way. You're starting with education. You have intelligent initiatives to start the ball of change.
And, you know, I'm also learning about, not only about the Middle East, but learning a bit about comparative international governance around the world. You know, with Robin Wright, we focused a lot on the war in Ukraine, Russia-Ukraine, NATO. In my classes at Stanford, I learned a lot about transatlantic relations.
That's fascinating.
So, you know, part of my passion for diplomacy as well is understanding how governments interact, what's the history behind that, which is very difficult, you know, to understand everything. But when you do, you understand how this world is moving forward.
And you'll be able to maneuver around it a little bit better.
I hope so.
Yeah. So, Tiffany, where do we draw hope from?
So,
especially for the youth. I mean, this is what they need to see because we've been through so many turbulent and challenging times now.
So, you know, as everyone knows, Lebanon has been through, you know, since the civil war in 2006, with the crisis, with the revolution, and with the Beirut blast.
Right.
It's been really dark for Lebanese people, figuratively and literally, with power cuts and people waiting for hours for gas stations. That's if people can still afford cars.
The bank situation,
right. Frozen assets. We can't find medicine. We can't find basic necessities. Prices are skyrocketing. Unemployment rates, all of that.
Right.
You know, it's hard to find hope. But I think within these cracks, there's light that still shines through. I think when you see young Lebanese people that really are speaking up for Lebanon.
So the human resources.
Yes.
Right.
When you see grandparents and parents that don't want to leave this country, that have survived civil wars, have survived everything,
and they're
but
still
despite
attached.
that, they want to stay. When you see this phoenix, the statue of Phoenix in next to the port, that rises up, this is Lebanon, because we rise up from the ashes. And yes, that's cliche, but this is how we've been. We see destruction, but what we really want is to rebuild. And I think, I understand people who have lost hope, who turned their backs on Lebanon and who left, because the wounds are still bleeding and it hurts.
Yes.
But to see the country that we remember, the country that we dreamed of when we were children, we need to unite together.
I was going to say it's a unison.
It's a unity and diversity in Lebanon.
Exactly.
We need to put aside our religions, our sectarian preferences, or political parties, and remember that first and foremost we are Lebanese.
And human.
Yeah, and we belong to our cedar, and we're humans together, and we want to live rather than survive in this country.
Right.
And this is what we should do, even if we leave, like I left, and so many students left abroad to study, we should come back.
But you're preparing, you're coming back.
Yes, I left with the hope and with the certainty that I will be back for my country. So at the end of the day, we should hold our Lebanese flag very high wherever we are. Like so many artists, students, doctors, engineers.
From all walks of life.
Are doing.
Right.
When I see my grandfather sitting on his balcony and talking about Lebanon and writing poems about Lebanon and crying.
Wow. Right. Next time you'll have to share it with us.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
I look at him and I say, generations have passed, but still, we love this country with all our hearts, even if it's broken and even if we are sometimes broken.
We are the soul of the country.
And the country is our soul as well.
That's very nice. Well, we're waiting for you to come back, and we will contribute also. We will help you in rebuilding. We'll help each other.
This is all an effort of everyone all together.
Exactly.
So, and I'm happy I could do it with so many inspiring Lebanese people.
There are many of them, actually.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
So the first thing I mentioned about you is that you're a published poet. Yeah. And when you were, how old were you when you were a poet? You were published poet, 16? 16.
Yeah, 15 or 16, yes. 16.
Yeah. And I wanted you to read, please, one of the poems that you wrote.
Sure.
So this is her book. And it's available on Amazon, actually.
Okay, let's do this. So I'll read
You can tell, by the way, you can tell when you speak publicly that you are a poet by the way you speak. By your speeches.
The metaphors.
It's not just the metaphors, it's the way that you're communicating your message. You can tell by just...
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so the poem I'm going to read is... it's called L'Exil, it's exile. And it's kind of, you know, me wrestling with the people who left during the Civil War, combined with the fear of leaving my country, you know, for university and kind of leaving my family behind. And also, you know, this idea of the future, uncertainty of the future. So, yeah, it's all of that combined. And also, I forgot to mention my grandfather, who's still alive, is a poet in Arabic. And my other grandfather, who passed away, is also a writer in Arabic, so it's also an ode to
genetic.
him.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The title of the book, Tous ceux qui ont perdu leur poésie, it's to all those who lost their poetry. It's whatever poetry means to you. For me, it's, you know, my grandfather, it's music, it's the stars, it's hope. So for
I was going to ask about hope, right? Okay, sorry I interrupted you.
No, it's okay. For all these people who lost these things, may this book and poetry in general be a path for them to find this light again.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, please do.
L'exil. Le soir tombait lourd sur les lauriers de la vie. Ma frêle plume effleurait les fronts de la veille et tachait l'oreiller de planètes et de nuit. L'encre coulait sur les lits, croisait le sommeil, claquait les livres, colorait les cernes. Exil, ce mot monotone qui résonne en automne et munit octobre de son octave jaunissante. Exil, le mot qui porte ce qu'il abandonne, les murmures, sutures et ratures marquantes, font de puéril le plus tragique des périls. L'exil me visite dans son asile et rit. Les murs mordus par le spectre de la folie lui donnèrent vie pour m'enfouir dans les abîmes. J'ai quitté mon pays pour trouver tous les mimes dans un monde ensorcelé par le fusil. Mon Asie vieillit et m'offre ses délires et ses rides qui creusent des plaies sur ma peau. Les remords gercent les miettes de mon cerveau et la nostalgie parcourt la piste de mes désirs. Je grelotte et le feu me consume. Ranger ses valises pour revenir en arrière, c'est empiler le présent dans les archives, c'est contempler le délire pour une dernière fois, c'est jouer à la marelle du temps qui estive, c'est ranger sa mémoire dans un tiroir en bois. Comment revenir sans connaître le chemin? J'entends la lueur qui me crie « à demain » et l'écho pénètre mon être qui pâlit, sous le reflet des barreaux en fer, noircis par les années qui m'ont vu mourir.
That's so touching. That's wonderful. That's beautiful, Tiffany. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for joining me today. It's an honor. It truly is.
It's an honor for me, Amjad. Thank you so much.
I'm so lucky to have met you, and of course, we're going to have you back.
I hope so. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.